good things that happened before we get started. Maybe you made some calls that you wouldn't have normally made and set some appointments or got in dialogue with some good agents. I'd love to hear that, some feedback from you guys before we start. And you'll have to unmute because I muted everybody.
So this is Elizabeth. I don't have my camera on, sorry.
That's
But
okay.
I'm Tom Trung's sister, by the way.
Okay, well, welcome.
So I met with two agents, and it wasn't I wasn't prepared to talk about EXP yet, but they already heard about EXP, right? Their friends have been trying to recruit them on EXP, and so I tried to talk to them to say, okay, what are your goals? You know, where are you at with your business? And I was right there on the spot, so I didn't know if I should have said, oh well, let's set up a time where we can talk together instead of diving right into asking them on the spot. And and of course I talked too much, and I just said, the beautiful thing about EXP is that when you're ready to build your business, it's an opportunity for you to do that. But what do you recommend in that kind of a situation where they say that everybody's been trying to recruit them already?
Yeah, so if I were talking to someone and they said everybody's trying to recruit me to EXP, I'd say, wow, well you should be flattered because we have some really great agents at our company, and if lots of people are wanting you to join our firm, then that just means they think the world of you. So you really should be flattered. I'd love to learn more just about what's important to you in real estate, and then shift into a conversation where you're asking them some questions about their real estate business, their goals, their dreams. If you heard Tom Schreider last night, if you guys weren't in Real Estate 101 with Big Al last night, he talked about the power of sequencing words, and he gave some great formulas for you to use when you're talking to somebody. And I would highly encourage you to go back. If you go to my YouTube channel, this is the one session I put on Patreon as an early access, meaning if you're not a patron on my Patreon page, you will be able to listen to Big Al's interview, but not until 2 weeks from now. But if you're a patron, you have access to it right now. And it's such a great session because he talks a lot about when someone asks you something. So I might say something when they say everyone's trying to recruit me, I might say something like I just said. But if I were talking to an agent and on the fly, they said, well, what do you do? Or how's your brokerage different? He gives you this great formula. Imagine that there were this pathway where you could create an exit strategy in real estate so that you didn't have to sell houses until you were 70 years old. I mean, wouldn't that be great?
Right.
And then they're going to go, well, yeah, I don't want to sell houses till I'm 70 years old. I definitely would love an exit strategy. And then you can begin to open the doorways, and that's what you're doing. You're just creating these relationships. So that's how I would respond to that.
But then if you're just there with them and they start asking questions, do you start answering questions, or do you say, well, it's a lot to go over and let's set up a time where we can go over together?
I'd say something like this. Tell me exactly what you'd like to know, and then I would say, listen to what they say, and then I would say, have you seen the entire presentation? And they're going to probably say no because they're asking you these questions. And then I would say, it really doesn't do the presentation justice for me to do it in 2 seconds right now on the fly. What I'd like to do is have you watch an entire presentation, and then we can get together and I can answer all of your questions and see if there's a fit between what you're looking for in a brokerage and potentially what EXP offers to you. How's that sound? And then I'm going to get them to watch that probably the Brent Go video, which is themodelexplained.com, or invite them to a webinar, or invite them to a lunch and learn with me, send them a presentation they can watch right away. When can you be in front of your computer for 45 minutes? And then I would follow up after that they watch the video. I'd get Tom on the phone with you, and I'd call them back and I'd say, what did you like best about the presentation that you just saw? And listen, and then say, well, look, I'm really fortunate. I've got one of the leaders in our company here on the phone with me, and I just wanted them to share their story real quick and also just learn a little bit more about what you're trying to accomplish. That's how I would do it. That would be my model in that specific scenario that you gave me.
Okay.
If you're wanting to learn some great questions to ask agents, and you don't have to, I just posted the needs analysis again in the chat box there. You don't have to go through every one of those questions, and you don't have to go through them in that order. But if you study that, it just gives you some really good questions to ask agents while you're talking to them. You might meet one at a coffee shop, and you see they have their name badge on, and you say, are you a realtor? And they say yes. And you say, oh, fantastic. I am too. How's your business been going? And then you just start this natural conversation and ask them a handful of questions from the needs analysis, and then some kind of closing question that just as you walk away, maybe as an afterthought, you say, you know what? I just got to tell you, I don't think it's coincidence that we met here at the coffee shop. And one of the things that I do is help agents create a strategy to grow their business, make more money, and put themselves in a position where they can get off this real estate roller coaster. And if I could share with you some ideas and strategies that could help you increase your production this year and make more money in less time, would you watch a video if I shot it over to you later on? That's it. I might just say that kind of as an afterthought, and I swap information with them, and then I shoot them a video, and then I put them in my system, and I follow back up with them. So those questions on the needs analysis just give you some good insight that you can use all the time without having to use all of them in a specific setting. So here's what I like to do is I pull up what we're going to cover today on the recruiting sources. I'd love to hear a couple of maybe just 2 or 3 thoughts or ideas that you guys took away from our last session. So anyone feel comfortable enough just sharing, hey, here's an idea or 2 that I took away from the last session. And maybe we can have 2 or 3 people share. Who wants to go first? This will be the interactive part.
Hi, Jonathan. It's Gary Zeller.
Hey, Gary.
I don't know is so much. I'd have to go back and look at. They covered so much and a little overwhelming. But what I did take away is that I just had to get out. Now I don't do phone calls very well, so what I have done, I look for broker events where I can meet other agents regardless. And I did that twice, and out of that came 3 appointments. So I'm going to continue doing that.
That's awesome.
Because I can develop relationships on a one-on-one that way much easier than I can getting on this phone here.
Sure, and I don't think the one thing you'll take away from this course is that there are multiple ways to get in dialogue with agents, and it's not. I'm not a believer that the only way is to pound the phones. So. You heard Tom talked about it last night in the session that he hated the telephone, but he loved to eat. So he always made a point to eat lunch and eat dinner with somebody different, and that's how he prospected, and that's how he grew his business, which a lot of people don't realize. But he built an organization of hundreds of thousands of distributors, and then went on to build this big time training company, and has written so many books. But that was his model. He didn't like the telephone, and his son-in-law Art Jonak, who's a big time networker, loves the telephone and the internet, and those are his 2 primary methods. So I think as you find your mix, the key is, I love what you said. I've got to get out more, and I've got to talk to more people and get in dialogue with more people. Who else? Let's maybe get 1 or 2 more people to share. Go ahead, John.
Hey, Jonathan.
John, I think you're muted, or it's not coming out. We can't hear you, John.
I'll go, Jonathan.
Okay, go for it.
2 things. One is you don't make calls, you don't get a check. And I stole all of your LinkedIn stuff.
Well, it's yours, so you didn't steal it from me. That's okay. I'm glad that you took that, because it is a great tool for you to use for sure.
Appreciate that.
You bet. And I heard someone else that was sharing. I didn't see who it was. Okay, Julie?
Actually, I have a question.
Okay.
But I think it'll help the group. Can you comment on, like, when there's a local event, maybe a class or a speaker, and not just an EXP Explain, but maybe again, a class or a speaker that's really hosted locally, how you might invite people to that. But you're inviting them in to not only get the class, but just to kind of experience the culture.
Sure, you bet. So last night I had two guest agents in Real Estate 101. And I specifically called them, and one of them, his name is Justin, and I said, "Hey, Justin, look, man, I know we've been having some great dialogue, and I know it's kind of hard for you to wrap your head around the virtual world, but I've got a great presenter coming in. They're not going to talk about EXP at all. They're going to share prospecting strategies and specifically language patterns and the things that you say and how they're really important. I think you'll love it. I think it'll help you at Berkshire Hathaway. And I think it'll give you an opportunity to experience how trainings happen in our world. So if I send you a guest pass, would you come into our class?" And he messaged me twice before the class to tell me he had already kind of gone into the world and played around because he had his guest pass. And then he asked me last night after the class. I sent him a message and I just said, "Hey, what were your top," just like I asked you guys just a second ago, I said, "What were your top 2 or 3 takeaways that you got from last night's class?" And he shared some ideas with me of things that he took away from the class. And then I said, "If you could attend classes like this on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, like every week we offered classes like this every day of the week, do you think it would help you grow your business?" And he said significantly. And then he said this, and this is a key thing. He said, "I laughed at this company for years, at the virtual world, and I didn't really get it at all until last night, and I saw last night." He said, "I just saw it. This was this morning, our conversation." And so the invite is real simple. It's, "Hey, I've got a great class that I'd like to invite you to. I'm going to send you a guest pass. If I send it, will you attend the class? This is what the class is about." And I always stress to him, "Hey, listen, this isn't about EXP. This is a real estate training that's going to help you no matter where you are, no matter what company you're at. And I think you'll really enjoy it. And I think it'll also just kind of let you see how we do real trainings and classes at our brokerage." And then the second agent, his name was Chuck. He was in California. Same thing. And I just invited him in and said, "Hey, Chuck, I'd love to know what your top 2 or 3 takeaways were from the class. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it?" And he said, "Man, I loved it. And my biggest takeaway is learning to say the right things." This is an agent who will do 15 million this year. So they have a significant business, but he said, really learning how to say the right things can help me do even more business over the next 12 months. Thank you so much for thinking of me. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. I didn't pound him with the XP afterwards either. I just said, "Very cool, man. If I see some other good classes that are coming up, is it okay with you? Would you be offended if I invited you to come to some other classes?" So I don't know if that answers your question, Julie, if that's kind of what you were looking for.
Yeah, I'm looking for some dialogue around it, so that it comes across as very authentic. Folks that I've been talking to all along, it should be a quality touch. And so I want to be very purposeful with that and authentic.
Yeah, and I think if you kind of know where they are in their business, like this guy, Chuck, he's a Remax agent, and he does about 15 million a year, and he's in California. And I kind of know because we've been in dialogue for a while, and I kind of know where he's at. And there are certain classes I wouldn't invite him to, but let's just say I were talking to one of them in casual conversation, and I said something like, "Julie, what do you feel like is your biggest challenge right now in your real estate business?" And they say to me, "Well, it's just really kind of gaining clarity to what I want. I just kind of feel like I'm winging everything." And I say, "Oh, I totally hear you. Listen, I was just thinking about you because I'm calling some really influential agents that I think have the potential this year to dramatically increase their business and make more money if they just became a little bit more intentional in what they did." And I know that there's a class coming up in our campus on goal setting. And I've been through this class, and it really helps an agent. It's not just here's how to set goals, but it's really how to dial in your conversations and how many appointments do you need and how many listings do you need to take in order to hit your goal, your GCI goal, because you need to know the income you're shooting for and why that number matters. So if I sent you a guest pass to come into this class, would you attend it? It's happening on Monday. It's every Monday. It's at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So do you think you could attend either this Monday or next Monday? Or I go through, like you see me, I have the EXP Cloud calendar up. Whatever they say, I'm going to look for a class that's going to help them with the challenge that they have. You heard Tom last night talked about it. We talked about it last week in session 1, finding the pain. So even if it's an agent I know and I've been in dialogue with for a long time, I would do the same thing. I would call them and go, hey, what do you feel like is your biggest challenge right now in your business? If I send you a guest pass to this class on lead generation, and would you attend? And they're not going to talk about the XP. They're going to talk about lead generation and strategies to grow your business. And then I follow up and ask them to give me their top couple of takeaways from that session. So hopefully that helps. One more. Let's do one more, and then we'll dive into today's material. One more person want to share a takeaway from last week.
A real quick question. This is Gary
Okay.
Seller. When you invite them to those classes, or say you'll give them a guest pass, do you attend all those classes with them or not?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Sometimes if I'm able to, I'll pop back into the world right before the class ends, and I'll go to them. I'll go find them, and I don't know why this keeps popping up. And then I'll go find them and go talk to them and say, hey, what did you think about the class? When it's over, I'll say, hey, follow me over here, and we'll sit down at a table somewhere, and then we'll just talk for a couple of minutes. But most of the time, I'm on the go a lot too, so I'll just call them and I'll go, hey, Gary, this is Jonathan. What'd you think about the class today? What are some of your takeaways, man? Like if you said, here are the 2 or 3 things I'm going to implement in my business, what are they? And then I'm going to let them talk and tell me. But I don't attend all the classes with them now. Anyone else before we dive into the session today, the material today, want to share a takeaway that you had?
Jonathan, is my mic working?
Yes. Yeah, I hear you now, John.
Fantastic. No, just I watched the video last week and wasn't able to attend live, but I did get a lot out of it. I set up systems with the contact management, with the follow-up campaigns, connected to an appointment scheduler, and all that stuff, which I think is the basic foundation to get things going. And then I was in a real estate webinar, not a webinar, a live event. And my attitude, my mindset was different. I was asking what was important to them instead of telling them all about the proposition of the company that I'm with.
And it's so easy for us to do that. It's so easy for us to get into that, tell everybody about the company versus finding out what's important to the person and then helping make the connection or bridge the gap of them moving from where they are to where they want to be. And what you're trying to show them is that the brokerage is the bridge to help them move from where they are to where they want to be. And it's just simply the vehicle that they're driving, and they can drive that vehicle as fast or as slow as they want to. And then they have to discover, is the vehicle that they're in right now, the current brokerage they're at, is it the best vehicle for them to accomplish their goals? Or is the new vehicle that you're trying to get them to move into and transition to, is it the better vehicle? And if you don't do a good job on the front end of finding out their needs and their pain points, then they're not going to be able to connect the dots, because they may not know before you really talk to them. Like in their head, they have some thoughts of what they want to accomplish, but they've never really sat down and thought. I mean, let me ask you this. Have any of you in this class really sat down and thought, what you ultimately want to get out of attracting agents into your world? Like, what is the big number that you're shooting for income-wise? And why is that important to you? And what changes happen in your life as a result of you achieving that goal? My guess is probably not. Like, you've had some thoughts about it. I want to make some money, and I want to make a lot of money, and I want this to happen and that to happen. But to really gain clarity to why and why it's important and why that number matters and how you came up with it, most agents don't do that in their business. So when you can lead them down this path of self-discovery, now all of a sudden they realize there's a better vehicle and I need to be in it. So it just is simply helping them see that and connect the dots. So today we're going to focus on the recruiting sources. And give me 1 second. I'm going to mute out everybody. And then again, feel free to interrupt and ask a question. That doesn't bother me at all. I just mute out the lines so that there won't be any feedback issues. So we're going to focus on recruiting sources, and there's a file that is in our Facebook group. And if you're not in the Facebook group, make sure that you join it. It's called How to Recruit Realtors. And we're going to cover these. I'm just going to give them to you real quick, and then we're going to break them down one by one. Real estate schools, agents co-oping deals with, networking events, affiliates, lunch and learns, webinars, educational events, agents in your sphere of influence, and social media. And then if I added one more to that, I would just say like agents in your market that you don't know, you haven't done a deal with yet, but they're there in your market. And I would call those like the language of real estate or data, where you can go in and look at their numbers and do a little bit of research. And we'll talk about that in a second and how do you have that conversation. So this is what we're going to focus on today. Last week we touched on after the systems and setting up your systems and getting in the right frame of mind. We talked about 4 things. These are really important, and I would even go back and listen to the session again. But we focused on being needs-based, being value-focused, the law of large numbers, and the 2 real estate companies in every realtor's life. And so being needs-based is all about finding out what the agent's needs are in their business, what their gaps are, their pain points, their challenges, their struggles, their goals. And then value focused is all about if you provide tremendous value to the agent, then they're going to see you as a resource. And ultimately, when they decide it's time to make a move, you want to be the first person they think of, that person that has provided so much value to help them. And being value focused would be inviting them to events, inviting them to classes, to trainings. Once you find out their needs, constantly providing the solutions and the resources to them so that they can begin to discover, hey, if I were in this person's world and at their brokerage, my life would be different. Things would change. And then the law of large numbers, again, says you've got to fill your pipeline with people that you can talk to. And every week you should be adding new people to the pipeline. People are popping out the pipeline. People are in your follow-up systems. But you've got to be in front of lots of people, communicating with lots of people. And then the 2 real estate companies in your life is just all you're trying to do when you get into dialogue with these agents is letting them know every realtor has 2 real estate companies in their life. The brokerage they're currently with, and then the brokerage that they would make a transition to that they respect and they like. And if something happened where they currently were, they'd make a transition to the other brokerage. And you want to be that second brokerage in their life. So I just wanted to recap those 4 philosophies because they're really, really important as we move through the rest of this course. So your recruiting sources, this is really critical. You got one of the biggest challenges I've discovered with agents on the recruiting side is that they say, where do I find agents to talk to after I get through with like the realtors that I know in my market, and I talk to them all and they all say, I'm not interested in making a move. Now what do I do? How do I find new people? How do I follow up with the old people? And you've got to have your sources for attracting agents. And this is probably the number one question I get when it comes to agent attractions. Where do I find realtors to recruit? And the funny thing is, I think it's easier to lead generate for agents than it is to lead generate for buyers or for sellers, because they're everywhere. They market themselves. every city I go into, I always go find a realtor magazine rack, you know, the home book, the home finder, the realtor real estate book, whatever they call it in your market. I go get one because I'm going to see agents in there, and I'm going to see who has market share, who has lots of listings, who's has a handful of listings, because I know, okay, and they're probably doing less volume and they move quicker. Then I can get on LinkedIn and do a little bit of research about that agent and try to find out as much information as I can about their career. I think it's easier for me to do that and lead generate for an agent than it is to go lead generate for a buyer or for a seller. You could just go in LinkedIn on any market and type in realtor, search for people, search for the title realtor, which next week I'm going to show you how to do all this. Or if you've already jumped ahead in the videos on Facebook, you've seen them. And then the city, select the cities, and you'll just find tons and tons and tons of realtors in the cities that you're searching for. So it's easy to find agents to reach out to. You just have to learn the skill set of what do I say to reach out to them. And you got to have a big enough why or drive or ambition so that when they're telling you no or you're getting the resistance, you don't give up and quit, because that's natural. That resistance is normal. But my top recruiting sources are going to be these 10 sources: real estate schools, agents, co-op and deals, networking events, affiliates, lunch and learns, webinars, educational events, agents in your sphere, social media, and then career nights. I don't utilize all of these anymore, but I used to at one point, and I utilize a lot of them right now, and I'm going to break them down and share exactly how I do this. So real estate school is just like a no-brainer. Every market has multiple real estate schools, and it is one of your top sources for the steady stream of agents excited to start their real estate career. Now think about it for a second. You got these people, they're getting their real estate license, they're in school, they're going to be interviewing multiple brokerages, they're going to be using questions that the real estate school provided to them. They already have a need, and they simply need someone like you to provide the solution to help them become successful in real estate. I love when I interview a real estate person who just got out of real estate school, or they're in real estate school finishing up and they're about to take the test. And we have a coffee shop presentation, and they say, "Can I ask you some questions?" And I say, "Sure." And they pull out this sheet, and I can tell it's printed out and it came from the real estate school with questions to ask. And I just say, "You can ask me all those questions. I think it's great." And they only ask a couple because they're not used to this. They're not used to interviewing a brokerage. They're not used to asking anyone these types of questions. And then I say, "Can I ask you a handful of questions?" And they go, "Sure you can." And I say, "Why should our brokerage bring someone like yourself on?" And then you just are silent and you listen to what they say, and you make them, what they have to do now is they're going to tell you their strengths, what they think their strengths are, and why you should want them. This is like, I'm never trying to beg someone or convince someone they should join me, because if you have to convince them that they have to join your brokerage, you have to convince them to stay with your brokerage, and that is really exhausting. So I'm looking for the people who are really talented, who I feel like have some ambition and drive, and they're telling me things like, you should have me at your brokerage because I work hard, I'm coachable, I learn something, I implement it. I really want to be successful at this. It's been a dream of mine and a passion for a long time. I finally decided to go for it. And I'm the type of person, when I go for something, I go all in. Like, those are the things I'm listening for. And I just ask them a handful of other questions. But they're all they're every 2 weeks in Louisiana. Every 2 weeks they're starting a new school, and like a new group up. And the reality is we have multiple schools, so every week people are finishing real estate school here. This is a repeatable thing. You can build the steady stream of leads. It's duplicatable. So if you have agents in your organization in other states or other cities, then you can give them a model to get in dialogue with new agents starting their real estate career. So it's very duplicatable. If you're building your brokerage and you're expanding in new markets, or you have an expansion team and you're looking for buyer agents in new markets, it's duplicatable. When it comes to recruiting realtors, it's very easy to do. Some states will not allow you to recruit on the school campus. Louisiana's one of them. I can't go into the real estate school and recruit agents. But what I can do is go into the real estate school, and I can talk about my history in the real estate world and answer any questions that they've got. And the real estate instructor can ask me some questions and I can answer those. And then I can say, hey guys, I hope you have a great career in your real estate world. I'm leaving some of my cards here. If any of you guys ever want to grab coffee or lunch and just ask me some more questions about real estate, feel free to. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to call you and they're going to set time to grab coffee. And when I have a student in real estate school, I coach them how to be bird dogging for me and looking for other talented people in the class. So I'll say something like, let's just say Julie were a new agent and she told me she wanted to start a real estate career. And I said, the first step is enroll in real estate school. And we get her enrolled in real estate school. And then I say, Julie, I want you to do me a favor. I want to help you as quickly as I can begin to attract some agents. And you don't have to do anything other than be a connector and kind of look out for some of the talented people in your class. So if you see someone and they look like they're sharp and they look like they're going to do well and they look like they're motivated, ask them if they'd be offended if I took you guys to lunch one day this week and we talked a little bit about real estate. And so now Julie can begin setting some appointments for me with people that she's meeting in real estate school. So it's a really easy way to do that. So I see a message. Some people are saying all of the real estate schools are held by sponsored by brokerages, so you don't know how to get in there. I tell you, we have that. I have, there's a brokerage here that has a real estate school, but yet I still have managed to, what I've discovered is not everyone's going to that brokerage when they're in that school. And so when I can get into dialogue with them and then coach them through how to help connect me with other agents in the school, that kind of helps you to do that. But real estate schools at the end of the day might not be the avenue for you because there is a drawback to it. And the drawback to it is they're all new agents and they take a lot of time and energy. And you've got to be sure that you've got a plan to coach them in the right direction once they come on board, that they're not wearing you down, that they understand that they need to lean on their certified mentor. If they have a mentor program at your brokerage, at ours we do, they need to make sure that they're in training classes and you give them a training calendar and help identify the classes they should be in, and let the company take all that burden on training the agent, and you're not having to do all of that because they will take a lot of your time, energy, and effort. And out of every 8 people that go to real estate school or sign up for real estate school, five of them are going to go take the test. 3 of them are going to get their license. 1 of them is going to be a rock star. And those are kind of the numbers. And so you have to be willing to go through a lot of people. But it is a great avenue for you to get in dialogue, and you want to build relationships with the people who run those real estate schools for you. And if they're led by brokerages, I'd find, if that's the only way in your state that someone can go to real estate school, then I would find out how to, what does it take to put on a school for your brokerage? And then how can you run ads to get people who are thinking about starting a real estate career to sign up at your real estate school? Or how can you get the instructor of a school to put on one for agents at your firm as well? Just an idea. But it is a great avenue for me. I've always used real estate schools to find good agents. Last month, I had 3 new agents that I personally brought on who finished up real estate school. And then one of them has been in dialogue with someone from their school who hasn't decided on a brokerage yet. And so it's just a great avenue and a great way. I give you a script in here for co-oping agents because that's the second source for me. And this is a no-brainer for you if you want a steady source of leads. And I'm going to share with you how to do it if you don't actively sell tons of real estate. Maybe you were more in a leadership role like I was at your former brokerage or at your current brokerage. and you're going, how do I help my agents attract agents? This is a fantastic way. So think about this. You're selling real estate. You're constantly working with agents at other firms. And once the transaction is over, simply call them and ask them if they can grab coffee. This, all you need to tell them is something along the lines that you really enjoyed working with them. They're the type of agent you want to surround yourself with, and you love to share more about an opportunity that can help them increase their production and make more money in less time. So my script would be something like this. Hey, Mike, this is Jonathan. Hey, look, I just want to give you a quick call and tell you I really enjoyed working with you on the North Shore Drive transaction. Got to tell you, man, you're the type of agent I want to surround myself with. And I'm always looking to just get around great people and share ideas, and wanted to see if we could grab a cup of coffee. I've got an opportunity I'd love to share. I think it'd help you increase your production this year and make more money in less time in real estate. How's that sound? And I'm just going to set an appointment to go grab coffee. And when I grab coffee with him, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do my needs analysis. I'm just going to ask him some questions. I'm going to say, hey, Mike, thanks so much for meeting with me. Look, I love to just learn a little bit more about your business and what your goals are this year and how you plan on accomplishing those goals. And then just start asking a handful of questions through the needs analysis. You also could talk to someone right after I give you some questions. Right after a closing, you could do it. You don't have to wait and call them. You might say, hey, Mike, can I ask you a question? Would it be okay if you had more than one option for earning money every month in the real estate world? And we're leaving the closing table. And he goes, yeah. I say, fantastic. Well, look, I'm going to give you a call later this week and schedule a time for us to go grab coffee and talk more about it. Okay? Sound good? So take my call when I call you this week. It's just something real simple like that. And it's quick, it's short. I get a yes, and then I tell him I'm going to call him later to set the time to go grab some coffee and learn more about it. Now, let me pause here for a second, because if you have agents, so I call agents in my organization on a daily basis, and I tell them something like this. I'll say something like, hey, Garland, listen, I see you had some transactions this month. That's awesome. Congratulations. Way to go. Hey, I wanted to call you, though, because I want to help you grow your residual income side of this business. And so what I'd like to do is give you a script where you can call these agents that you've been having transactions with. And all I want you to just say is something along the lines of, hey, Joe, this is Garland. Hey, listen, I really enjoyed working with you on XYZ transaction. And I got to tell you, you're the type of agent our firm is looking for. Would it be okay with you if I had a leader in our company give you a call? That's it. Really simple script. And they go, well, I'm happy where I'm at. I don't want to be recruited. No, I totally get it. But all I'm saying is you should really take this guy's call, because he's a leader in our company. And I think he's got some great ideas and strategies that can help you. And if it makes sense, man, continue the conversation with him. And if it doesn't, just stay right where you are. And you're not going to lose anything from taking his phone call. And that's the script that I share with the agents in my organization. So now they're making appointments for me, and you go, well, they should learn how to do it too. I get that. But if they're actively selling lots of real estate and they are trying to bridge that gap on how to fine tune these skill sets, I'm happy all day long to help the agents in my organization attract other agents. And so they can connect me with that person, and then I can call that person and I'll say something like, hey, Joe, this is Jonathan Dupree. Hey, listen, I wanted to give you a call because Garland Best, he has just bragged on you and said you were a rock star and said incredible things about you, and said, Jonathan, you have got to talk to Joe. And so I just wanted to reach out and tell you, first of all, thanks for taking my call. And second of all, just learn a little bit more about you and your goals in real estate. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in the real estate business? And now I just immediately have transitioned into my needs analysis, and I'm asking him some questions, and I go through the needs analysis, and then I work at the end of that needs analysis in this type of appointment. I would work to transition at the end of asking him those questions. The last question in the needs analysis is, if I could show you a way to increase your production and make more money in less time, would you be open-minded enough to learn more? And so he says yes. Then I'm going to say, Joe, listen, I got to tell you, in all my years of real estate, I've really never seen an opportunity quite like this. And I know that you shared with me your goal was to make X amount of money, and you also shared with me that your biggest challenge was not having enough leads. And I'm going to send you this one video that, imagine a new agent who's been licensed for 3 weeks generates 40 leads in 36 hours with names, email addresses, and phone numbers, and is able to get in dialogue with those people right out the chute, 3 weeks being licensed. I mean, I'm going to send a video showing you how he did that. But also, I want you to watch this other video. It's about 45 minutes long, and I think it's going to answer some questions you may have popping in your head. And then we can have another conversation. When do you think you could be in front of your computer for 45 minutes? And he tells me, well, this evening. And I say, fantastic. So what time this evening? Like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Okay, great. So I'm going to give you a call this evening at about 8:50. And that's going to be right after you finish this video. And I'm going to be super brief. I'm literally going to take 5 minutes and see what you thought about the video. And then when can we meet again to have a conversation, me share some ideas that I think can help you with lead generation? Because you told me that was your biggest challenge, not having enough leads. You have some time in the next couple days. And now I'm going to work to set a second follow-up call even after the follow-up of the video. And so we set a time there. And at 8:50, I'm going to call him back, and I'm going to say, what did you think about the video? And he says, man, it was really interesting. What was your favorite part? Like, what did you like best about it? And I'm going to listen to what he says. And I've already scheduled someone for a 3-way call in this scenario. I've already scheduled someone to be on the phone with me. But what I'm going to tell him is I'm going to say, Joe, listen, this is kind of a long shot because it's like 8:55, almost 9 o'clock at night. But if I could get one of our leaders on the phone, one of the leaders in the company on the phone with you just for 2 or 3 minutes to say hi and share their story and how they're just crushing it, and they've sold thousands of homes a year, whatever it is. Would you be offended if I try to get him on the phone real quick with us? And I'm going to now do my 3-way call with him, and I'm going to let a leader in the company kind of share their story. And it doesn't matter who it is. I'm just going to find someone good who will be good at sharing their story and make that connection. So that's how I deal with co-oping agents, and I help our agents all day long, and they can go set appointments for me. The video that I'm sending is the Brent Go video, and it is, I'll send the link in the chat box real quick. That's the video that I send to him. And I think it's just a great video, and it does a great job of presenting. Now that's for my brokerage. So if you're at a different brokerage, don't send that video, and that wouldn't be a good one. Let's see. I'm watching the chat real quick. Yeah, that video on the agent getting leads for free, I'll try to shoot that link in the, I'll try to take off the personal stuff so that it could be used by anybody and put it into the Facebook group. You bet. So co-oping agents is like a no-brainer, and right away, and you can go through your past clients. If you sell real estate and you sell a lot of real estate, or you have in the past, go through your past clients and reach out to the agents who you co-op with on those deals, and just ask them how things have been going. Hey, listen, I just, we've done some transactions in the past, and I just wanted to reach out and see how things are going in your business. How's the real estate world been treating you? And then just strike up a conversation and work to set an appointment with them, whether it's over the phone, over the computer, or face-to-face at a coffee shop or something like that. And then if you've attracted any agents in your organization, get on the phone with them today and say, who do you know? Give them an assignment. Say, listen, I want to help you. But what I need from you is I need you to make a list of the agents that you've co-opted with that you'd love to have in your organization. And then I'm going to help you attract those agents here to our brokerage. So today, that's a call that all of you should be making, even if you have one agent in your organization. You want to call that one agent and tell them that, unless they're like brand new, licensed right out the chute. If you've attracted, I want to flip-flop on co-oping agents and share one more thing before going to networking events. If you've attracted an agent from another firm then and recently it's almost similar, except it's co-colleagues from another brokerage. And so you want to tell them, hey, listen, I want you to help you, and I want to help you grow quickly. And so what I'd like for you to do is think of like the top 10 or 15 agents at your former brokerage who you feel like they are business minded and they take advantage of a great opportunity in the real estate world, and let's begin to reach out to them and let me help you. So that's the approach I take with our agents on a daily basis. Before I move into networking events, let me open the chat again. I see a message that popped up. Okay, I'm just going to leave this here so I see it. So networking events. Let's think about this. Referrals are a gift from the real estate gods, right? I mean, that's like right out of the MREA. And it's much easier for us to convert a referral than it is a co-lead. And networking events give you an opportunity to have intentional conversations with people in the real estate industry, and also not only prospect, but ask people for referrals. And so it's really easy. So if I'm at a networking event and I see agents, I might say something like, or an affiliate or someone like that, I might say something like, hey, how's things been going at your company? And they tell me how happy they are and what all's been going on. And I'll say, hey, do you happen to know anyone at your office who's maybe unhappy or thinking about making a move? You'd be surprised at the people that will give me someone's name who is unhappy and thinking about making a move. I mean, I ask this question a lot to agents, and it's almost like a takeaway close too, because I'm not asking them to make a transition. I'm asking them to help me identify the people in their brokerage who are thinking about making a transition so I can get in dialogue with them. And sometimes I've had them say, well, why wouldn't you want to talk to me? I've literally had some of them say that. And I'll go, oh, well, I'd love to talk to you. I just was assuming you were very happy where you were and that you weren't open to opportunity, but I would love to grab coffee with you. But a lot of times they'll give me somebody's name that I can give a call to. If I go to an event, let's just say in general, and I'm not going to, if I go to Tom Ferry's Success Summit, I'm not going to ask people that question. I'm not going to walk around and say, hey, who do you know at your current brokerage who's looking to make a move? Because that's awkward. We just met. And so I just talk to them, build friendships, build relationships. I get their cards. And what I do is I keep a Ziploc bag. This is old school, and some of you maybe do this too. I keep a Ziploc bag and a Sharpie with me. And any networking event that I attend, I write the name of that event on the Ziploc bag. And every night when I get back to my hotel room, I put those business cards in that Ziploc bag. And so when I get back, as I'm putting them in my database, I can easily remember this agent came from this event, and I tag them by that event in my database. So when I call them the next week, I say, hey, John, this is Jonathan Dupree. Hey, I don't know if you remember me or not. I met you at the Tom Ferry Success Summit this week. God, wasn't that an awesome event? And they're going to go, yeah, I loved it. And I say, what were your top 2 or 3 takeaways? Like, what are things you're going to implement in your business? And they tell me. I just jump right into that conversation. And I say, well, I got to tell you, it was great meeting you. I could just tell that you're super sharp. I could tell you're the type of agent that I definitely want to make a connection with. And if you ever are needing someone down here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I'm your guy. And if I ever need someone up there, I'd love to build these agent-to-agent connections for referrals. But before we do that, tell me a little bit about your business. I mean, how long have you been in business? Was this your first Tom Ferry Success Summit, or have you been to more? And then I go right into my needs analysis, and I just start asking them questions without telling them I'm asking them questions. I just say, look, I would love to build agent-to-agent referrals, and I'd love to learn more about your business. Tell me about it. Tell me about your market. Tell me about yourself. And I go right into the needs analysis. So it's super easy to have that conversation when you're at these networking events. And then I now put them in a follow-up campaign in my CRM, and I'm just constantly touching base with them. And then I begin the things like inviting them to specific classes based off of what I think will be the right class for them. I'm going to tell you a true story about the Success Summit in just a second. I'm reading some chat. Pull agent names through reverse prospecting MLS and showings.com have hundreds of properties. I've shown one listing. Yeah, absolutely. And thank the agents for showing your home and your listing, and then just start up the conversation. Hey, by the way, listen, I also just wanted to see if maybe we could grab coffee and I could share some ideas that I think could help you make more money and increase your production this year. So it's just having that same conversation over and over and over and over again. So this is a true story. I'm at Tom Ferry Success Summit with my son Noah. Noah graduated from high school last year, and he said, "Hey, Dad, for graduation, if I buy my ticket, would you? If I took my graduation money and bought my ticket to Tom Ferry Success Summit, would you go with me?" And I said, sure. And so we drove across the country from Baton Rouge to California and we just made it like a guy trip. We'll never do it again because it was like a brutal drive, but we had a blast doing it. And it's something we'll always remember. And we're at the Tom Ferry Success Summit. We're meeting agents, and I met this agent named Scott. But before I knew he was an agent and before I knew his name, we were in the elevator. And we had on our name badges, and this guy is in there with us, and he's in a swimsuit and has a towel and's headed to the pool, and another guy's in there, and he literally looked at my name badge, and I'd only been at EXP for like 3 months, and he said, "Oh my gosh, you're Jonathan Dupree. I attend your Sunday night class." And I said, "Oh, that's really cool. Fantastic, man. Thanks so much for coming, and do you enjoy it?" And we just start talking in the elevator. We get out the elevator, and he leaves, and my son and I are headed to dinner, and this guy in the swimsuit stops me, and he says, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure you can." He said, "Are you at EXP?" I said, "Yes, I am." "Why do you ask?" He said, "Well, I'm just curious. I just overheard your conversation, and I'm a Remax agent." And I said, "Oh, fantastic." I said, "How do you love Remax?" And if you're at Remax, I'm not knocking Remax. This is his words. He said, "I'm not happy at all. I've been there for 14 years. I'm looking to make some transition. I'm looking to make a change. I've kind of been following things that are going on." And he said, "It just sounded like from you talking that you might be able to give me some clarity to the company." Excuse me. So we talked and we had some conversation right there in the lobby. And I said, "Well, listen, I can tell you're going swimming. My son and I are going to dinner, but how about tomorrow night we just go grab dinner and we talk?" And so we did. We went to dinner, and he brought 3 agents with him to the dinner. It was crazy. That were from all different companies, all different brokers. And we just sat around and we didn't talk just about the brokerage. We talked about ideas and strategies and, man, I'm losing my voice. And we just talked about all kind of things to grow our businesses. And we focused on why I made a decision to close my brokerage and move to another company. We talked a lot about that. Well, it's been almost a year. I just got my Tom Ferry email today to come to the next Success Summit. And the funny thing is, this guy has not made a move yet. But we have stayed in touch, and we talk every single month. And we built this fantastic relationship. And he's introduced me to other agents, and he's just helped make these connections. And so do I think he'll ever make the transition? I do. If it takes another year, is it worth it? Yes, because this guy knows everybody. And we met at a networking event. Then I have other agents who I meet and I talk to and I call them and I quickly have them make a transition. So every agent is different. And when they make a move, if they make a move, and sometimes they never make a move, but at networking events, at the end of the day, you're building relationships with people, and then the right ones will begin to make the move. So I'm constantly looking for events that I can go to. And here's the cool thing. I'm going to give you one more idea, and some of you may not be comfortable enough doing this, and if you're not, it's totally okay. You can just skip this part. But when you go to some of these events, they give you the roster of everybody who attended. So then I would just spend my time making as many calls as I could, and I would call them and I would just say, "Hey, we connected at the Tom Ferry Success Summit," or "I see that you were at the Tom Ferry Success Summit. I was there too, and I just wanted to reach out. I'm seeing what agents thought about it. What did you get? What's like your biggest takeaway?" And then I listen, and then I share my biggest takeaway. And I say, "Well, man, I see you're out in California. I'm here in Louisiana. How's the market in your area?" And I listen. and then I say, this is what's happening in Baton Rouge. Listen, if you ever need an agent down here in Baton Rouge, I definitely want to connect with you and potentially be the person that you feel comfortable enough sending referrals to. And if I have someone out in your part of California, I'd love to have you in my database as someone that I could reach out to. But first, before I do that, I'd really like to know a little bit more about your business. Tell me about yourself. How long have you been in real estate? And now I've transitioned right back into my needs analysis, and I'm going through and asking them questions. And then I really do put them in my database, and I really do put them in a group called Agent to Agent Referrals, and I do tag them at the event that I met them at as well, and I do put them on a follow-up campaign. And I do send them referrals if they come up. I have an agent in Shreveport, Louisiana. I've sent 2 referrals to in the last 2 months to someone looking for a listing and a buyer, 2 different types of referrals in the Shreveport market, and he's at a different brokerage. So I'm constantly doing that. Am I dripping general information on them as follow-up and calling, or both? So my follow-up campaign is a series of emails, text messages, social media messages, videos through BombBomb, phone calls, handwritten note cards. It's like a series of touches, and they're all mixed up. So it's not just emails or phone calls, but I'm doing both. So networking events are a big time way for you to immediately get in dialogue with agents, and find the ones, start locally. You don't have to go across country to a Tom Ferry events. Find the events that are happening in your market, in your backyard, that you can begin going to and talking to agents, and just, it gives you also good practice. Tom Schreider last night, he talked about, I asked him, I said, why do you think it's so hard for us? It sounds so simple, right, to say these words in this sequence, and it's not difficult, yet we overthink it and we stumble through and we try to overcomplicate the process. And I said, why do you think? And he said, well, it's because we're just sometimes we're just, he said, stupid. He said it. We're just stupid. We just overthink it, and we want to make it difficult, and it's not difficult, and we look for ways to justify not doing it. And if we just learn the right sequence and say it to people, so when you get outside of your comfort zone, just go to these networking events and just start talking to people. And he said the way that you get better, which is what I was getting to, is you practice, like by doing it, by going out and talking to people. So force yourself to go to some networking events. Find 1 or 2 networking events this week that you can attend. I use an app on my phone called Meetup. Are you guys familiar with that? Meetup. 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 And you can go in Meetup and you can type in a certain thing. Like you could do real estate, and you can see all the real estate meetups that are happening in your market. And I run one. So I have a meetup in Baton Rouge, and it's called Baton Rouge Real Estate Professionals. And I go on, and every time I do a meetup, I always have 3 or 4 people show up that I've never met before that are real estate professionals in our market. And we've done meetup networking events. We've done social happy hour events where we just meet at a local bar area and just hang out from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and there's no agenda. We just meet and talk and network and connect. I've done meetups that were specific events, like we had a specific topic we mastermind around. So if you really want to focus on networking events, and hosting them, or just finding them in your market, Meetup is a great tool in addition to your local board to find out what events are happening and coming up. How often do you get reactions where they stop and ask you, are you trying to recruit me? I'm not interested. And how do you respond? Is it 10 to 1? Just need to know the reality of rejections. In the agent attraction scripts in the file section of the Facebook group, there's a whole list of objections and how to overcome those objections. I think that the level of rejection you get depends on the level of skill set that you have. And so in the beginning, when you're new to this, it doesn't come natural. And so your level might be higher. I still get rejected all the time. I still have people that say, hey, are you just trying to recruit me? And I'll say something like, listen, honestly, I'm not, because what I've discovered in my career is if I try to convince you to do something, like convince you to join my brokerage, I'm going to have to convince you to stay at my brokerage. And that's really super exhausting. And I don't want to do that. I just try to build lots of connections with lots of agents. And if you want to come to our event, I'd love for you to. And if you don't, hey, that's okay too. So that's how I would respond to that question if they were talking about an event. But if they say something like, hey, I'm happy where I'm at, those are your common rejections. I don't want to move. I'm loyal. I'm happy where I'm at. I always say that's fantastic. I love happy people, and that's actually why I'm giving you a call. So I'd still love to connect and learn more about your goals and kick around some strategies and ideas that could help you and help me grow a real estate business together. If they say I'm loyal, I go, I totally get that. Hey, but let me ask you a question, Julie. I'm just curious. Has your brokerage ever made any changes since you've been there? And they go, well, yeah. Did they come to you and say, hey, Julie, you're so loyal to us, and we really appreciate that. So before we make these changes, we just wanted to get your approval first because we're just as loyal to you. And so we just wanted your okay on this before we move forward. Did they do that, or did they just make the changes and then tell you, hey, here are the changes that we've made? Well, they just made the changes. Okay, fantastic. So I'm not asking you to not be a loyal person. All I'm asking you is get enough information to make an educated decision on where you feel like will be the best vehicle for you to get into to move from where you are to where you currently are to where you want to be. And at the end of the day, I mean, wouldn't you agree with me that it's more important for you to be more loyal to your family than to a business? And so I'm not asking you to be loyal to your company. You don't owe me any loyalty at all. I'm just simply asking you to be loyal to your family and to yourself and get the information and then make a decision. And if it makes sense to learn more, fantastic. And we can go down that road. And if it doesn't, then we haven't done anything but have a cup of coffee and started to build a good relationship. That's how I handle that objection when they say that. But there's only a handful of objections that they're going to give you. And some of you can type your objections in here that you're getting, and I'll share how I overcome those. But I list a whole bunch of them in the agent attraction scripts. But in the chat, if you want to list your objections, I'll definitely tell you how I would overcome them. So networking events are the perfect type of event that you can go to. And then on top of that, we'll talk in a second about educational events. You want to make sure that you're inviting people to educational events. Affiliates. This one is one that I do on a weekly basis, and it's so easy. And I've recruited some of my top agents through affiliates. Excuse me. And I think for the master recruiters, this is also one of their top sources, because you've got these people that are in the real estate industry that are kind of bird dogging for you. They're keeping their ear to the ground, listening to who's maybe going to make a move. And if you think about it for a second, these are lenders, title attorneys, home inspectors, home warranty company people, and every day they're talking to realtors day in, day out. And they also hear the buzz on what's happening, who's unhappy, what offices might have some shifts coming. And so I can call affiliates all the time and just ask them to keep me in mind when they know someone's unhappy and thinking about making a change. So today, set a goal. Today after the session, call 5 affiliates. Again, this lenders, title attorneys, home inspectors, home warranty companies, people like that. And ask them if you can have a lunch conversation with them. They will pay for your lunch because they want to get in front of realtors. I promise you, they'll pay for the lunch. You won't have to pay. And when you have lunch with them, just say something like this. This is a phone call script that you can go read through, but I'm going to tell you what I'd say if I'd bring them to lunch, and I'd say something like, hey, Mike, listen, thanks so much for having lunch with me. How are things going in your business? Man, that's fantastic. Is there anything specific that I could do to help you Like, what's a great referral for you? What type of agent are you looking to connect with? That's fantastic. I'll do my best to kind of keep my eye out on for that type of person. But the real reason I wanted to meet with you is because I know you're influential in our industry, and I know every day you're meeting with realtors, and you kind of know what's happening in their world. And I was just curious if you happen to know anyone who's maybe unhappy at their brokerage for one reason or another and they're considering making a change. Like if that person pops into your mind, I'd really I'd really want you to think about me and connecting me with that agent so that I could share with them a little bit more about our brokerage to see if there's maybe a fit between what they're looking for in a brokerage and what ours has to offer. Could you do that for me? And they're going to sit there, and I've never had someone say no, and they always say yes. And then I just simply go, well, listen, like I said, if you come across a great agent and they're unhappy and they want to increase their production and they'd like to make more money, then I would really appreciate the introduction. And all you need to do is just call them and say, hey, listen, I want you to take a call from Jonathan. He's going to be calling you, and I've kind of filled him in a little bit on your situation, and you really need to take his call. Just something along those lines. And hey, by the way, Mike, I've got an event coming up. If I can get you to come in for 5 minutes and do your spiel about your company, is that something that you'd want? And so that's the conversation I have daily. So I'm always trying to get affiliates in front of agents because that's what they want. And I'm always asking the affiliate to get me in front of agents who are unhappy because that's what I want. And I have, no lie, probably 3 of my top agents outside of my sister, I have recruited from affiliates making the connection and calling me. And then what usually happens is they don't just call me and give me an agent's number. They call me and say, hey, Jonathan, I'm setting up a lunch with so-and-so, myself, and you. They're looking to make a change. They were talking to me about it, and I said they really need to sit down with you before they make any decision. So what day this week can you do lunch? That's usually what happens with an affiliate. I just had an affiliate. I taught a class in Birmingham, Alabama. And one of the sponsors, we had 200 agents at this class. It was a power prospecting workshop. And then we followed it up with a lunch and learn. And this affiliate is in the financial services business, but he paid for the lunch for the event. And so I was thanking him for it. Well, then a few months later, he called me and said, hey, I have 2 tickets, VIP tickets to this big real estate training in New Orleans. I'd like to invite you and your son. And I said, man, that's awesome. Thank you. So we went and we hung out and we met agents and we connected. And then he and I were having lunch. And I said, listen, how can I help you? What's a good referral for you? Are you only looking for clients in Alabama, or can you write business in other markets? And so I learned about his business. And then I said, well, you know what I'd love for you to do to help me? If you come across an agent in Birmingham, or really anywhere in Alabama, but he was from Birmingham, and Birmingham is where I'm aggressively building right now. And I said, if you come across an agent who's maybe unhappy and in y'all's conversation it comes up, or you're meeting with one of your clients who's an agent and you're telling them that they need to make more money because you're handling their finances and that they should really explore this model, I would love for you to connect them with me so that I can begin to build a relationship with them. Would you be willing to do that for me? And he said, Jonathan, absolutely. He's already made one connection for me with an agent in Birmingham. So this is a no-brainer, is affiliates. And I'm going to challenge you today to call 5 affiliates: lender, title attorney, home warranty person, home inspector, financial service guy, insurance agent, anyone who you know has connection with realtors. It could be a couple lenders. I don't care what they are, just affiliates. And they use a similar script to this to just let them know you could just use the script, or you could set an appointment and then use the script at the appointment, whether you're grabbing coffee or grabbing lunch. But I promise you, next week when you check in, if some of you guys work to have your appointments before next Monday, which we're going to talk about next Monday in a minute. But before you have that meeting with them, I promise you, they're going to buy your lunch. Some of you are going to go, you're right, they bought my lunch. And then let's move to lunch and learns. Let me see if we have some objections in here. So what I'm going to do is at the very end of today, so I can get through these recruiting sources, I'm going to answer every one of these objections for you guys. and if you put some more in, we'll do those too. Lunch and Learns. This is another great model, and this is a great way to introduce agents to other agents in your organization, as well as give a presentation specifically sharing your brokerage's value proposition. The intention of the Lunch and Learn is to be short, sweet, to the point, and give them enough information so that they want to learn more about your brokerage. This is a great recruiting tool. And the way that it works is super simple. So you and agents in your organization invite prospective agents to come to lunch at your office or at a restaurant to learn more about your real estate brokerage or model. And you can have a lender or a title attorney or an affiliate pay for the lunch, and in return, let them take 5 to 7 minutes and talk about their company on the front end. And then what you want to structure is about 15 minutes of networking on the front end of the Lunch and Learn. So if your Lunch and Learn is from, maybe it's from 11:30 to 12:45-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood. In the first 15 minutes, you want to set aside for networking and connecting. Welcome everyone for coming and go, hey, hang out, network, make sure you connect with everyone here. We're going to start in 15 minutes. Let them get their food. Let them eat during the presentation. This is how I do it. Welcome them for coming. Let the sponsor, if you have a sponsor, do their 5 to 7 minutes about their company. And then this is my script. So this is what I say. You want to keep your presentation really short, give enough information so that they want to learn more about your organization. But I focus on what I call the 3 C's. And I say something like this. Hey, listen, thank you so much for coming. Today I'm going to talk about the 3 C's. A little bit about our company, a little bit about our concepts, and a little bit about our compensation plan. And at the end of this presentation, if you want to know more, just simply connect with the person that invited you, and they'll share how to get more information. I try to keep my actual presentation part to about 35 to 45 minutes so that we have this entire Lunch and Learn in an hour and 25 minutes or so, somewhere in that neighborhood with the networking and everything else. Here are a couple ideas if you want to have this really good first impression. Use banners to create this professional appearance. And I'll zoom in and so that you can see this a little bit better. I didn't create these banners, so if you're at my brokerage, everyone always asks me about them. I didn't create them. And the place I got them from is called buildasign.com. So this, on the left-hand side, you see a smaller Lunch and Learn, and we probably have at this one, I think there's like 12 agents at this Lunch and Learn. That's my wife. She's a lender, and so she's sponsoring this lunch for us today, and she's getting up and doing her presentation. But I've got these banners behind here, and they just make it look more professional and sharp and like it's a true event. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see me in Dallas. I didn't realize I was writing on the screen. But you'll see me I'm doing a bigger Lunch and Learn in Dallas, and I have the banners up, 2 on each side. So it just, again, gives you kind of a nice professional appearance using the banners. The second is, instead of using sign-in sheets, like to capture the people that come, offer something of value like the 3 scripts. Those are in the file section of the Facebook group, and it could be anything. I'm just using that as an example, but that's what I use. So I thank everyone for coming, and I say something like this. Hey, I want to give you one tool that you can use, though. So I'll say, like, hey, thanks for coming today. I'm going to share a little bit about the 3 C's, a little bit about our company, a little bit about our concepts, and a little bit about our compensation. But before I dive right into that, I want to give you the 3 must-have scripts every agent needs to have. Would you be offended if I could show you a way? Would you? And in my experience, these are 3 great scripts that you can use to help you grow your real estate business. Let me give you an example of each one, and then I give them a quick example. I take no more than like 2 minutes on this. And I say, you don't have to remember these. If you want to get them, just take out your phone and text the word scripts to this number. And I have a slide that pops up that says scripts, and then below it, it has the number. That's the only 2 words. It's big, so they can't miss it. Scripts, and then the number. And I use a app called Slick Text. and I will post a link to it. If you want a free trial for it, you can more than welcome to knock yourself out and set it up. It's really a great tool for me. And I'm giving you an example. In my Birmingham event that I recently did, I had 220 agents opt into the text group to get the scripts. And then I can build a campaign in it. And so by building a campaign in it, it just lets me continue to reach out to those people and go, hey, thanks so much for attending my event. If I host an event again in Birmingham, I can text all those agents that came to that event. So there it is in the chat box. It's called Slick Text. But that's how I capture people who come to my Lunch and Learn, is through using a text tool, and I give away something of value. And it's usually, for me, it's those 3 must-have scripts that I'm giving away. But it doesn't. It could be anything. It could be a survey about the event. It could be, and you say, and I'm going to pick from that this week, and someone's going to win a $10 Starbucks gift card. And then you might make everyone the winner that's not at your brokerage, so that you can follow up with them. I don't know. That's a Tom Schreider tip, where you call them, and maybe you give away a $25 Starbucks gift card, and then everyone else gets a $5 Starbucks gift card or a cup of coffee on you. So then you can follow up with everyone and go, hey, here's who won the $25 gift card. You didn't win the gift card, but I will treat you to a cup of coffee. I'd love to learn more about your business. So it's a great way to capture their information so that you can follow up with them. Number 3, this is an important one, and this is like just something that most people forget. If you are facilitating the Lunch and Learn, have a bag with you that has extra things you need. This is what's in my bag, and this is what's in my bag because I've had experiences where I've left something didn't work. I'm running around like a chicken with its head cut off 2 minutes before the event, desperately trying to find a laptop charger or an HDMI cable or some type of adapter, whatever it is. So in my bag, I have an extra laptop battery. I'm not even kidding you. I have an extra laptop charger. I have 2 HDMI cables. I have a VGA to HDMI adapter. I've got a micro USB charger. I have an Apple charger. I have extra batteries for my presentation clicker. I've got an extra stash of business cards in that bag. I've got a pack of mints in that bag. And I also have, I didn't put it in there, but I always keep this little voice recorder in my bag as well. Just because I'm always, if I great agents there, I'll try to do these short little interviews, and so I keep that in there. But that's all that's in my bag. And I also have an extra little extension cord, not a giant extension cord. I have it's about a 12-foot extension cord in my bag. And I have a small surge protector so that if there's only one plug, I can plug in multiple things. Laptop speakers, yes, this is what I use at my Lunch and Learn. It's small and it's really loud, and it's Bluetooth or connects through a cable, and it is called a DOS something, I don't know, DOS speaker. But this is awesome, and it's perfect, and it's tiny, and so that's what I use at my Lunch and Learns when I show, because I do show a short video. So make sure that you have a bag and go through what you need so that if you miss anything or lose anything, you've got a backup of it. Once you finish the Lunch and Learn, just simply ask people, thanks for coming, and say, listen, I'll stick around to answer any questions that you guys have, but what I'd love for you to do is get back in touch with the person that invited you and let them share with you what the next step is. If you say, Jonathan, I'm ready to move forward, let that person know, hey, look, I'm ready to transition and move my license. Or if you still have some questions and want to learn more, just say, hey, I've got a few questions. I'd like to get them answered. And then thank you guys for coming. Have a great day. That's it. And that's how I end the Lunch and Learn. It's really simple, really low key. And then I go talk to people after and say, what did you like best about the presentation? So lunch and learns are really easy, and I know there's several people on here that do lots of lunch and learns, and then there are some who've done them for a long time and haven't had lots of results. And the key is this is very duplicatable, and if you can get lunch and learns going in multiple markets, you'll find your leaders in your organization who are really good at lunch and learns, and that's their thing, and they do them. And you know, I do lots of lunch and learns. Most of my lunch and learns that I do now are me coming into a city and doing a lunch and learn for an agent of mine, and they have people. I've done lunch and learns from Zoom meeting where they've set it up, they've had lunch, like agents are literally getting together, and they've put me up on a screen, and I've been here at my house, and I've done the presentation from home and done the lunch and learn that way, and then turn it back over to the event host, who then makes the reconnection with everyone, and they network and hang out at the end. So I've done it all kind of ways. But it's a great tool for you to use. The short video I show is this little 7-minute video, and I don't know the name of it, but I'll post it again. I'll post that in the Facebook group today. I'll post a link to it. The 3 scripts I shared is actually in the Facebook group. If you just go into the Facebook group and click on files, one of the files says the 3 must-have scripts, and that's the and they're right there for you. Again, those 3 scripts are in the file section. So webinars. Webinars are a great way also to let agents learn more about your organization from a safe distance. And here's the thing about recruiting agents. Many agents don't want other agents to see them at an event specifically learning about another company. They're afraid it might get back to their broker. You can do a 30-minute overview of your brokerage online and then give time on the back end for agents to ask questions. And if you really want to, you can learn how to do stealth webinars that appear to be live, but they're not. They're recorded and they run 24/7. And they're kind of on demand. I use a series of both stealth webinars and real webinars. And when I do a webinar, I always have agents on, and half the time they're not the real name that they register under, because they don't want you to know they're there, and they don't want anyone else to see that they're there. But they can watch from their computer and cut out their camera and make up the own name they want you to see and just participate and get the information. So I'm always inviting people to webinars, and I'm always leading them. And I don't use any fancy presentation. So for my brokerage, they give me a presentation on my career site, and that is the presentation that I use when I do a webinar to share my brokerage. And I do it just like a lunch and learn. I start it the same way. Thank you for hopping on this webinar. My name is Jonathan Dupree. Let me give you a little background on who I am as a person. I tell them a little bit about my career in real estate. I tell them a little bit about my story. And then I say, tonight I'm going to share about the 3 C's, a little bit about our company, a little bit about our concepts, and a little bit about our compensation. And then I go into the presentation that our company's provided for us. I don't try to reinvent the wheel. If I have a couple of agents on with me, I usually try to get a couple of agents to share some testimonials in that webinar. And then at the end of the webinar, I thank them for coming. And I always leave mine the same way. I never give them a link to go to join, because I want them to, I never want an agent in my organization to feel like they sent someone to one of my webinars and then that person somehow named me as their sponsor. So I always end every webinar going, whoever invited you to this webinar, please make sure that you get back in touch with them and just give them some feedback. What did you like best? And what do you feel like the next steps are for you? Thank you for attending. You guys have a great night. And that's how I end every single webinar. So it's very low key, and my agents feel safe sending people to them. And now they know they've got an event that they can send someone to learn more about the company, so that if I bring on agents are great at selling real estate. I want them to have tools that they can use to recruit. I want them to have tools, places they can direct their potential prospects to, so that the tools can do the presenting for them. But webinars, and you don't just have to do company brokerage presentations. Since we move into educational events, You can also use webinars that are educational events. You know, you can use a power prospecting workshop, a scripts workshop that's done online as a webinar, a FISBO webinar, a prospecting webinar, a lead generation webinar, whatever it is, and invite agents from other companies and have people in your organization invite agents from other companies to come to it. And now it's generic training that you can bring them to, and then have one more layer where you're having the conversation of inviting them to another event that's going to be like a true webinar about your brokerage, or a lunch and learn, or whatever the next step is. That you follow up with the person you invited to the webinar and ask them if they're open-minded enough to, if you had more trainings like this, could you grow your business? The same script, and just different styles at how I'm doing it. What do you mean? Where do you get the webinars? Like the content for the webinars? Well, if it's a webinar about your brokerage, then from your brokerage. So like I use a presentation from our brokerage, and that's where what I use. If you're talking about like power prospecting workshop or those are just classes that I've put together personally, and I teach, and I do them in a webinar type format. Educational events are a big way I recruit. You'll see it says on there, this is my number one source of recruiting. And I use webinars. So I'll give you an example, and this is something that you can all do pretty much right away as well. I'm hosting this next month a Mega Agent Mastermind panel. And I love that. Sylvia said, I taught her how to generate leads online class at my last Lunch and Learn. And you probably had several agents that came and loved that you did that and said, we don't get any of this at our brokerage. I take a class instead of how to use your KV Core website because that's a tool that our brokerage offers. I changed it and said how to use your real estate website to generate buyer and seller leads. And I just put together a training on how to create landing pages and squeeze pages and text codes to use to generate buyer and seller leads. And then I did a text survey. So they texted in to answer a few survey questions. And in return, I gave them the 3 scripts for free. And the survey questions were, do you currently use landing pages and squeeze pages to generate leads? Do you currently use text codes? Does your brokerage currently provide you a tool to generate as many landing pages and squeeze pages as you'd like? And I just asked them a handful of questions like that. And so it lets me know who to follow up with from the class. And we had like 15 people at the class. This was a live class I taught in Baton Rouge. I've done it in multiple markets, but the recent one I did was in Baton Rouge. But educational events are really powerful. So one of my first ones I ever did was called a Mega Agent Mastermind panel. And I did it because I was trying to figure out how to get in dialogue. I was a brand new team leader with Keller Williams, and I was trying to figure out how do I get in dialogue with some of the top agents in our market without them feeling like I'm recruiting them. And so I called them and I played. All right, so here's the thing: if you really want to learn a little secret, the agent that is successful usually has an ego. And if you can play to that a little bit, it will help you. And by that, I mean, I'm going to call the agents I'm trying to get in dialogue with, and I only need 4 or 5 of them for a mastermind panel. And I want them to be from different companies, because if they're from different companies, no one can say, you're just trying to recruit a bunch of agents, because I'm using agents from multiple companies. And only one on the panel was a Keller Williams agent at the time. 4 were different companies. Remax agent, I had a Coldwell Banker agent, I had a couple of independent agents. And I called him and I said, well, hey, Ryan, this is Jonathan. How are you, man? Look, I'm putting together this educational event. It's called a Mega Agent Mastermind Panel. I know you're crushing it and you're doing awesome. And I want 5 agents, and here are the people I'm talking to. I want Pat Wadham to be there. And I just started listing the names, and I said, I've asked them. They've agreed to be on it. So we've got great agents like yourself from multiple companies. I'm going to give you the questions on the front end, and we're just going to focus on what does an agent need to do to be successful in this business, in this market today. And I'm going to ask you simple questions. And At the end, we'll take the last 15 minutes and let the agents in the crowd ask questions. And I think we'll probably have somewhere around 100 agents attend. And would you do it? And they all said yes. And then I said, I'm going to create a flyer. Would you take these flyers and put them in your office and email them out to the agents in your office to come support you and hear you share all the things you're doing to succeed at a high level? So I had all these agents, these 4 agents, invite other agents from their firm to come. And then I went in and I got 3 sponsors to do the event, 3 affiliates. I said, I want you guys to provide breakfast and lunch, because we're gonna start at 9 o'clock, we're gonna end at 11 o'clock, and then we're gonna provide them lunch, like a box lunch going out. And so I had 3 sponsors. I said, listen, I want you to send out this flyer that we created to your database of agents. Would you do? That's the only way you can be a sponsor. And then I created an event page on Eventbrite so that we had agents register and had a head count. We had over 200 agents attend my first mega agent mastermind panel. We had more people than we had room at our board, and we used our local board training room so that it was a generic site. So I've done multiple mega agent mastermind panels, and all I do is I stand up and facilitate it and ask some questions, and I always ask each agent to give me their top 2 scripts that they use. And guess what I do? I give them out. Now, back then, I didn't have a text tool. Now I do, and I've been using this for a while. So now I'll say, hey, listen, before we start, I'm going to give you my 3 must-have scripts. And here they are. And then I've asked each panelist here to give me their top 2 scripts they use the most. And so they've already sent them to me. And so you've got all their top 2 scripts. So that's 10 scripts plus the 3 must-have scripts. All you need to do right now before we start is pull out your phone, text the word scripts to this number, and you're going to get them. And now I've just captured everybody, plus they already registered on Eventbrite. So I have everyone who's sitting there in the room, I've captured their cell phone. So that's how I do a Mega Agent Mastermind panel. Now, I'm doing one in June, and it's going to be through Zoom webinar. And I have 4, there's actually 3 agents and myself, because we're going to be you can have 4 people on Zoom webinar, like in a window, and it's going to be streamed live on Facebook. So people will register through Zoom, but it's also going to be streamed live on Facebook. And then all those agents will share it on their Facebook wall as well. And they're going to invite their agents. We're doing the same thing. Everyone's inviting agents. And I have 1 agent from my brokerage and 2 agents that are big agents from other firms across the country. So I've got a Berkshire Hathaway and a Remax agent and an EXP agent, and then myself facilitating it. So those are the 4 faces you'll see on the screen throughout the whole time. I'll show the scripts on the screen. They'll get those scripts if they use the text code to text in to get the scripts. So it's the same concept, except being live in person, like at a boardroom, a meeting facility. We're doing it online via webinar. So there's so many ways to do educational events, and it's very powerful. It's non-threatening. You'll be around multiple agents from multiple brokerages, and these events allow you to build rapport with prospects and let them see the value that your brokerage provides. This is something all of you could do today. Like you could do today. I'm using Zoom webinar, Julie, but Be Live, you could do the exact same thing. So if you're using Be Live, I was using that, and I also use Zoom, and then I realized I could do the same thing through Zoom webinar. So I just condensed down to just using Zoom, but Be Live would work just as good. And but it's a great tool for you to use, and you can start this like today. You can make a list of your top 4 agents in your market that are, or make a list of your top 10 and call on the first 4 that say yes are the agents that you use, and then pick 1 from your brokerage so that you got 5. I think 4 to 5 participants in a panel is plenty, and then just come up with a list of questions. And that's even just as easy, because what I did was I emailed out the registrants from Eventbrite, and I said, hey, if you can ask the top 5 agents in your market any questions about growing your real estate business, what would your top 3 questions be? And then I just took all those questions and I compiled them And those are the questions that I asked. And then I added in a couple of my own as well. So very easy to get your list of questions. And then people see you as the expert. You're the person that they're going to turn to for growing their business. And then you start following up with people who come to your event. So it's a really, really, really easy event to do. And you don't have to learn anything to teach, because all you're doing is standing up there asking questions. That's it. Okay, agents in your sphere. We all have agents in our sphere of influence, and we should be reaching out to them. Don't be afraid to call them and ask them if they know any agents who'd like to increase their production and make more money in less time. So you don't even have to be point blank ask them. You know, you might take the agents in your sphere who you feel like are difficult or have said no to you already, call them back. It just gives you a reason to touch them and just say, hey, John, this is Jonathan Dupree. Hey, listen, I know I talked to you a few months back, and I know that you said you're very happy where you are, but I was just curious. I know that you know lots of agents, and I just wanted to see if you happen to know any agents who are interested in increasing their production this year and making more money that you could maybe help make a connection with me. So just ask that question. Again, that's something you could do today. You could go through your phone and find the people that you know that are agents and ask that question. Or you could flip it and go, who is in my sphere that knows agents? And you can call people and you could say something like, go through your database and call clients, past clients. And you could say something like this. Hey, Gary, this is Jonathan Dupree. How are you? Man, that's fantastic. Hey, listen, I just wanted to reach out and give you a quick call. And normally when I call you, I'm asking for like, hey, who do you know is looking to buy a home, or who do you know is looking to sell a home? But today I just really wanted to reach out and see, who do you know that's a realtor? Because one of the things that I do is help real estate agents increase their production and make more money. And I know that you know lots of people. So I was just curious, who are some of the top agents that you know that you can maybe make a connection for me? And I let them make a connection. And then I'll call that agent and I'll say, hey, Sam, this is Jonathan. Hey, listen, you don't know me, but I'm a realtor as well. And Gary is a mutual connection of ours. And I think he probably told you I was going to be calling, but he just bragged on you and said you were a rock star. And one of the things that I do is help agents increase their production and make more money. And he said he felt like you may be the type of person that I was looking for. So just wanted to give you a quick call and learn a little bit more about your business. And now I just shift into asking a handful of questions. So that's how I work my sphere of influence, whether it's agents in my sphere or people in my sphere who can connect me with agents. And that doesn't have to be over the phone. If you don't like working the telephone, use that same script in a Facebook message or in a text message. So it's really easy to utilize that sphere of influence to get in dialogue with more agents. And again, you all could probably pick up the phone right now after this class or go on Facebook and have that conversation with 2 or 3 people right away, whether it's past clients or just agents that you know in your sphere. I went to Dallas, Texas, and I was speaking at an event in Dallas, and I called people in my sphere and I asked them that question, but I specifically said Dallas. So I called people that I knew that lived in Dallas that were in my sphere from Facebook. Some of them I called, some of them I messaged on Facebook. And I was connected from that trip from people in my sphere who were not in real estate, but lived in Dallas. I was connected with 4 agents in Dallas by just asking that question. And I called all of those agents and we had conversations, and I haven't not recruited anyone from that conversation yet of those agents, but that event was only a couple months ago. So those people are in my database and I'm staying in dialogue with them and following up with them, because remember, it's a process. So it's always looking to get in touch with people. And don't be afraid, sphere of influence, to tap into other people's sphere of influence. Speaking of Dallas, I'll share this quick story. I was sitting with a group of people at the event. We went to eat dinner, and one of them said, how do you always find new people to talk to? And our waitress came up, and I said, like this. And our waitress walked up, and I said, hey, can I ask you a question? And she said, sure. I said, I'm new to the area, and I'm looking to connect with a couple of the sharpest realtors here in town. Do you happen to know any realtors, real estate agents, people who sell houses? And she stopped for a minute and she said, "Oh my God, we just bought a house and our agent's from Century 21 and she is amazing. And yes, you need to connect with her." I said, "Would you mind giving me her information?" She said, "You bet I will." We put in our food. We didn't think much about it. And she came back a few minutes later and she had a receipt paper printed out. And she said, "Here's my agent's name. Here's her number. Here's her email address." And I also shot her a text message and told her that I met someone who's going to be reaching out. I said, "Thank you so much. You're so awesome." And then I gave that agent a call and said, "I met your client, and they were a waitress waiting on us. They did a fantastic job, and they were really sharp, and they really bragged on you and said you did such an amazing job. You're the type of agent I'm looking to connect with." And then we just started a conversation. So it's really you'd be surprised at tapping into other people's sphere as well, how well it works. Social media. I've connected with a lot of agents via social media. One of my guests last night in the XP world, I met through social media, through groups. So if you like networking and you're really good at networking, join a lot of different groups. And this was not even a real estate group. I'm a certified John Maxwell coach, and this person is as well. And I went into the John Maxwell group and I said, "Hey guys, I'm a John Maxwell coach, and I'm looking to partner with and connect with other realtors who are also John Maxwell coaches and believe in leadership and personal development." And that was probably 6 months ago. And I met this person as well as 3 or 4 other agents that are in my database that I'm communicating with now just from that one post. But this guy is right there ready to make the move. Like he messaged me this morning wanting to know how long his guest pass lasted so that he could attend a couple other classes, which lets you know they're there. But so networking through social media and through groups is a great way to use it. If you grow your network, you're going to extend your influence. And then also if you go into a new market, anytime I go into a new market, just like I shared with you, I make a post as well as how I said I call people and shoot messages. And I make a post on Facebook and on LinkedIn asking for people in my network to introduce me to the best realtors they know in that market. So I'll say something like, "Hey guys, I'm going to be in Dallas, Texas speaking this week. While I'm there, I really want to connect with some sharp realtors in the DFW area. So who do you know that I don't know that I should know that's in DFW area and they're a sharp realtor?" It's a question I'll post, and then I'll always get 2 or 3 connections from making that post on social media. And then I have someone to make a connection with so that it's almost like a referral. Even though it's not a true referral, it's almost like a referral. And I have some borrowed credibility because we have a mutual relationship. So don't be afraid to be intentional about your conversation. I would drive through to Birmingham to do an event, and I'd know that I was going to go through Mobile and I was going to go through Tuscaloosa and the big cities that I go through. And I make a post that says, "Hey guys, I'm going to be in Birmingham speaking. And I'm also going to be in Mobile and Tuscaloosa and so. I'm looking to connect with some sharp realtors. Who do you know that's in these markets?" And I had a guy give me 2 people from Mobile, and I met with one of them. I didn't get to meet with the other one. My son followed up with him. My son recruited the other one, and already has recruited that agent in Mobile. And I have had conversation with the other agent, but I wasn't speaking in Mobile. I was just passing through Mobile, headed to Birmingham, but it picked up a couple referrals. So use the heck out of asking your sphere, and then also use social media to share educational events. Welcome new agents that have joined your firm, and they don't have to be new agents, just new to your firm. So I'm constantly making posts that just welcome the agents that have joined our company. So it just gives us, you've got momentum and lots of things happening, and agents are joining you. And live videos that you share something of value. I know lots of people hate video. Get over it. The less scripted it is, the more authentic it is, the better it comes across. And so just make a goal to do a live video maybe once a month if you're really nervous about it, or once a week that you're sharing something of value. Take the 3 scripts and say, "Hey guys, over the next 3 weeks, I'm going to do 1 video a week where we break down the 3 must-have scripts every agent must know." And then each week, just focus on 1 script and talk a little bit about it. And you're providing value to an agent. And maybe you make that video in a group on Facebook geared for realtors. There's lots of groups out there. You're not recruiting. You're not talking about your company. You're sharing something of value that's setting you apart as the expert, so that when people are ready to make a move, you're the second company in their life. You're the person that they think of that's helped them, that's provided value. And you make those kind of videos, and people send you messages and go, hey, can I ask you a question? You shared this video. Tell me a little bit about this. And so it's constantly using social media to set yourself up as the expert. I use YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. I don't really use Snapchat. My son is really big in social media, and he's been showing me this new platform called TikTok. And he already has hundreds of thousands of people on this platform, and he's master at this stuff. So he's giving me ideas of, and one of the biggest things I took away from Jaden was just build relationships with people and share things of value to them, and the right ones will reach out to you. And that's what happens. So social media is a great platform for you to use to get agents. I also share interviews with leaders in the real estate industry through social media. And then, like I shared with you, I'm doing this Mega Agent Mastermind panel. This is going to be my first one that I stream on Facebook. I only hold it on the computer, but I think it's going to be a home run. I've done Super Saturdays where I bring in 3 trainers, and we stream it on Facebook, and we hold it in the virtual cloud. And we've had a couple hundred people attend those Super Saturday trainings. And it's just, we have a class on prospecting, a class on time management, and a class on your listing presentation. We have 3 little segments that we teach. So social media is a great platform for all of that. And then career nights. So career nights I don't really do anymore, but when I first started, I did. And career night is very much like a lunch and learn, except it's for a new agent, for someone who's thinking about getting their real estate license. And it doesn't have to be at night. You could have a career breakfast or a career day, but most people work, and so they have to come after hours or on the weekend. And it's just an event to introduce people how to get started in real estate. And it's a great source to have a steady flow of leads. It is a longer process because most of these people haven't even registered for real estate school yet. And they're just trying to make up their mind. Is this something that they even want to do? You want to promote the event, and you need to have a few people in your organization also help you promote the event. So here's kind of the ideas. Create a Facebook event and have everyone in your organization share it. Hey, are you thinking about a career change? Come learn about starting an exciting career in the real estate industry. Post a message on Nextdoor about your event. Advertise it in your local paper. Maybe put a little ad on your open house flyers. I had an ad that I ran, and it went on open house flyers. I got other agents to share it on their open house flyers. It went in our home book magazine, the real estate book. And all it said was, stop seeing houses, start showing houses. Come learn about an exciting career in real estate. And then it had a link to a website where they could register for our career event. And I put it on open house flyers. I put it on social media. I had other people share it. We created a Facebook event. I called affiliates. I asked affiliates to sponsor the event, invite people in their sphere who may be considering a career in real estate as well. And then maybe door knock. I read a statistic that said 70% of people have considered a career in real estate. I read another one that said 86% of all statistics are made up, but I really did hear that one and hear that was true, that 70% of people have thought about a career in real estate. So maybe you door knock and just say, hey, we've got a great event happening in your area, and you can kind of identify the market where you're trying to attract agents, and you can pick that type of agent and just invite them to your event and bring a flyer. The typical agenda of a career night is really simple. You're going to introduce yourself and the other presenters. You're going to give attendees a chance to introduce themselves and share why they're considering a career in real estate. You need to have some type of registration or event survey via text code. So if you don't use a text code, have a little card that they fill out. If you use a text code, just create a survey. In the text service I use, I can create a survey where they answer a couple of questions. Or you could just create a text code in if your database system allows you to create text codes, and send a link to a Google form that has the survey questions. So that's a way that you can do it as well. And just ask them some simple questions. You'll see them here on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest. What's your interest level in starting a career in real estate? What did you like most about the career event? What's your biggest challenge in getting started in real estate school right now? What do you currently do for a living? How long have you been doing that? Those are just some sample questions. But I would tell them at the end of the event, I'd say, okay, guys, thank you so much for coming. Please take out your phones. I need you to text survey to this number and take our quick survey. And then we're going to take a drawing real quick to give away this basket of goodies that all the affiliates who spoke tonight put together for you. And so that's how I get people to register. I'm going to cover the state licensing requirements. And usually I'm going to let the real estate school instructor do that. I would always invite the real estate school instructor to come speak and so that they can promote their real estate school. And then I talk about a real estate career, talk about how to get started, education and training, mentor program, how you make money in real estate. I have a few agents stand up and give testimonials and share their story, and I tell them to keep it to 2 to 3 minutes long. I share with them what tools they need, the cost of getting started, like all the way. Real estate school, joining the board, the commission, E&O, getting some business cards, getting some signs. So I kind of give them an idea of what they need to get started, how long it usually takes for an agent to start making money in the business. And then I move into the presentation, which shares the brokerage value proposition. Again, this is your company presentation where you share about your brokerage. And then I do a Q&A where I let the attendees ask their questions. And then I wrap up the meeting and I thank them for coming. And now you have to follow up, and these people need to be put into a database, and they need to be put on a drip campaign since it's a longer follow-up process for them. Okay, what I'd like to do is stop for a second and before we wrap up, and I've got a few things I want to share, but let me go back through the questions real quick, and then give me 1 second. I've got to scroll up here. Okay. The artwork for the banners, I'm just going through the questions. If you go to buildasign.com, they have the artwork for the banners that I use on hand. So all you need to tell them is that you'd like to order the retractable banners for EXP for the career career banners, and there's 4 of them, and they have them on file. And you can either give them my name or Brent Gove. Just say the ones Jonathan Dupree has or the ones Brent Gove created, because he created them. The broker in our area has a really bad reputation. Here's the reality to that. At the end of the day, your broker is a broker, right? And you need them to help you answer questions. But here's the reality. The broker isn't controlling your business. And if I can show you how you can build a business and expand quickly across the country and get yourself out of a world where you're dependent upon a broker, wouldn't you at least want to get the information? That I've had that question, and that's the way that I respond to it, and I try to help them understand, like, I'm not minimizing the need for a broker, but at the end of the day, the broker really doesn't if you're a broker, don't take this the wrong way. The broker really doesn't matter in my world. Like, I want to build great relationships with our brokers because they help me across the country, but I, it doesn't matter to me that much about the broker. And usually the things that people have about a broker is not accurate information. It's coming from third party. Like, how do you know that is real? Like, what have you heard and how do you have evidence of that? And what if we have a conversation with the broker and let's bring it to light and just ask about it and let them share their side so that you have enough information to make a decision. I might even go that route in that question. Why would I give up the control I have with my own brokerage? You know, I said that myself for many years. And then what I realized was I had some goals and dreams, and those goals and dreams were to provide a better quality of life to the agents in my world and also to be able to expand and grow my brokerage. And what I discovered was it just was impossible to do on my own. And as I've made the transition to the current brokerage I'm with, and I closed my brokerage of 130 agents and transitioned it here, I've now expanded into 16 or 17 different states, and I have attracted top agents across the country. And what I discovered was I thought I had really talented agents. I had the best agents in our city. But when your playing field is the entire United States, you've got a much bigger pool of talent, and it's easier to go get talented agents than it is just in your own backyard. And so while you think you have a lot of control, you really don't. Your top agents leave you. What do you do? And then you got to constantly try to replace them, and it's a never-ending battle, and they're always wanting you to do things for them that you don't do for other people. And so I just had some different goals. So if your goal is to really grow and expand and have a life, I think you should at least explore and get all the information and then make a decision. How's that sound? That's how I'd answer that question. If you have a company where you can recruit agents and like EXP or Keller Williams or Exit Realty or I don't know what other ones are out there, and they say, well, you know, it's a pyramid, then I would just say, have you seen all the information? And what in your mind is a pyramid, just so I can understand? Like, are you saying that you can recruit agents and they can recruit agents and you can earn income off of that? Or are you saying it's a pyramid from the sense of it's illegal? And then I pause. And I want to see what they think because I don't know what they're thinking. If they go, well, that you can recruit and make money off of agents. And I go, yeah, absolutely I can. Just like your broker does, right? Your broker's job is not to really train you. Your broker's job is to go recruit and attract agents to go sell real estate so that the broker can get a split off of the transaction. And you have the ability to build a miniature brokerage within a brokerage. If they say a pyramid like an illegal thing, then you're able to say, because none of those companies, Keller Williams, Exit, EXP, or none of them are illegal. So you're like, well, that's actually not accurate. And I'm not sure where you got that information. But what I'd like to do is give you the information so that you can make an educated decision versus just hearing something that you've heard from someone else. So I think wouldn't it be worth it if you could watch a 45-minute video that could potentially change the course of your world financially? And that's how I'd answer that question. No, they don't have to be named Mike. I'm sorry. I just throw those names in when I write. And then, how do you thank affiliates for referrals? Real simple. I just send them a nice note card. I thank them. I give them a call too, and I go, listen, I just want to say thanks so much for sending me Stephanie. She's been a phenomenal agent. Oh my God. I'm so excited about her being with us. And by the way, I've got a couple events coming up, and you're the first person I'm going to think of to call. I want you to come be a sponsor. I don't want you to pay anything to be a sponsor. I just want you to come and take 3 to 5 minutes and share your value proposition, share your elevator pitch to the realtors that are going to be there. And I'm going to constantly be a referral source for you. So that's what I do with an affiliate. I don't have a condensed version of the company slides, but you can, once you open it in Google Slides, you can hide slides. So if you wanted to hide certain slides and show certain slides, you can do that. I just go through each slide, and I can go through that entire slide deck in 35 minutes. I will, in the Facebook group, if you click on the photos, I actually have close-up photos of the banners so you can see exactly what's on them. And I'm just scrolling through these questions real quick. I don't know a best time to do a live video on Facebook. I'm not the best planner. I'm more of the ready, fire, aim person. And so I just, when it's on my mind, honestly, that's how I work. I think about something and I go quick, do a video about it. Door knocking is so fun. Something is wrong. Who just said that? Sylvia, something is wrong with you. Clearly, we need to practice scripts. Yes. All right. So, Julie, you're like a great trainer, and you guys, if y'all haven't got her book, Success Faster, or is it Success Faster? Success Faster. Yeah, I always confuse it with Results Faster from Tony G. They're both awesome books, but that book, you need to get it because it's going to help you learn how to have these conversations with agents who are struggling, trying to grow their business and figure out what to do. And then that's a book that you should buy lots of when you bring on a newer agent or an agent who feels like they're stuck at a certain level and trying to get to the next level. It's like a blueprint to give them and for them to utilize. But my point in saying that is, if you're coaching an agent, Julie, how important when they're talking with buyers or sellers is it for them to master scripts?
Well, it's so critical, and we tell them it's like, look, you have to get better faster, and that's not even just a new agent. There are a lot of agents out there that are not new that would benefit from 15 minutes a day. I keep this stack of paper right behind me, and I'm going to add to it because you're giving so many great scripts, but I kind of keep a Word document, a flowing Word document. When I hear kind of some new attraction scripts that I really like, I add to it. And now I do not have a perfect record with spending time with this every day, but what if you picked it up and just walked around your house for 5 minutes and read them out loud for a few minutes every day? You'd get better faster.
Yeah.
Because so many folks have the perfection gene holding them back. And I love that you're ready, ready, fire, aim. You know what? You get a lot more done than those of us who do a lot of aiming.
Well, and what's funny is I'll do something and my wife will go, did you think that through? No, I didn't. I kind of had this thought in my head, but but that's how I began to make something better. Is I have an idea and then just start it. But at the end of the day, you're absolutely correct. Most of your agent attraction is really going to come from just mastering what to say to people, whether it's an educational event that you're inviting them to, a phone call, a co-op, it's all just saying certain things, certain ways to people, and then making sure that you continue to say those things over a period of time. In The Slight Edge, Jeff Olson wrote that book, and he talks about how results that show up in your world, one of two things happen. Failures happen from simple errors in judgment practiced over a period of time. We don't practice our scripts. We don't prospect. We don't talk to people. We practice. We get ready to get ready. And so we keep making these simple errors in judgment. I'll do it tomorrow. And we get further and further and further away from success versus simple habits, the right habits practiced over a period of time. I learned some scripts. I'm implementing them. I'm applying them. I'm doing them. I'm talking to people every day. And we start to have this curve up where we move closer to our goals and dreams. And it's because we took action. We implemented. The speed of growth always is determined by the speed of implementation. So I want to give you a couple of quick action steps for the week. And then I want to have a conversation about Monday's session for you as well. In the Facebook group, make sure you go to the file section. Lots of resources there for you. There's an entire section of agent attraction scripts you should download, print out, start reading, get you a scripts partner, practice those scripts partner with your scripts partner. I want you to call a couple of affiliates today. Challenge you to call 5 and use that affiliate script to ask for referrals. You might not even get a referral, and you may not even want to ask for a referral on the front end. You may just want to ask them to go grab lunch or coffee and then have the conversation over the appointment of where you're wanting them to refer to you people who are unhappy and looking to make a change. I also want you to call some past clients and use that script. And I don't care, maybe it's another 5 of your past clients, and use the script that I was sharing about. Normally when I call, I'm asking who do you know is looking to buy a house or who do you know is looking to sell a house. But I want to call you today and see who do you know is a great agent. Because one of the things I do is help agents grow their businesses. And I just wanted to see if you happen to know any great agents other than myself, and see if you get a referral. If you don't worry about it. If you do, that's fantastic. It's just practicing. It's getting in the habit of having this conversation. And then call some agents that you've co-opted with recently. If you've had some co-op transactions, call them and just say, hey, listen, I enjoyed working with you on XYZ transaction, and you're the type of agent I want to surround myself with, people like yourself, and just want to see if we could grab coffee and kick around some ideas and strategies that could help us each grow our business this year. Real simple and easy script. So I want to challenge you to do that. And then think about putting on a mega agent mastermind panel. It's really a no-brainer. It's easy to do, and it's an easy way for you to get in dialogue with some top agents in your market. I also want to let you know that this Monday coming up, I believe it's this Monday. I might be off a week. The guy who was my guest last night just messaged me. Let's see. Is this coming Monday? When is Memorial Day? Is it the 27th? Do you guys know?
Yeah, it's 27th.
Okay. So, perfect. Then I was off a week. So next week, nothing happens. We're going to have our session on the 27th. That would be our 4th week. So next week, we're going to focus on LinkedIn. I'm going to give you exactly step by step what to do on LinkedIn to get in dialogue with agents, exactly what scripts to use, exactly how to set up your profile on LinkedIn, the whole 9 yards. So be ready to do a lot of work on LinkedIn next week. On the 27th, we will not meet because that's Memorial Day. So we'll have our 4th session on June, I think it's June the 3rd. It's the following Monday. Let me pull my calendar back up just to make sure. Yes, it's June the 3rd. Go ahead.
Well,
A lot of us are going to be
that week
going to it, Orlando.
Yeah, but shareholders doesn't start until the 4th at 5:00 in the evening.
Okay.
So how many of you on here on this session are not going to be able to be on June 3rd due to shareholders? So y'all are going to be already in Orlando, or you're going to be flying, or you're going to be what?
Traveling there.
So there's 2. I can't see if there's anyone else. I see Evelyn and I see Tucker. So what I might do then, because I hate to do it a full another week, and we just have a couple people who are going to be out on the 3rd, because shareholders really doesn't start till 5:00 on Tuesday. Is what I might do is do 2 sessions. Then we'll do it on the 3rd, and then I'll have a wrap up session again on the following Monday for those who are at shareholders. And that way, if we have a couple other who aren't on here today who also are going to miss that, you don't just have to watch a recording. Does that sound fair enough? And we'll just do, two sessions like that. So no, next week we're on LinkedIn. We're off on the 27th, and then we'll wrap up on the 3rd, and then I'll do one more session if anyone can't make the 3rd due to shareholders. Okay. Hey, thank you guys. I'll have this recording up